Okay, I have to keep these videos under 15 minutes. I might upgrade this channel, but I think it's actually good for me to try and make a point in 15 minutes and then do another video. So in the last video I was talking about, people can seem just so far gone. How are you meant to talk to them? Well, it is a technique, of talking to people who are brainwashed. You can get advice from people like Stephen Hassan, Rick Alan Ross, Margaret Singer. Her videos are good, even though she isn't around anymore. There's books and all of this stuff for free. So it's not as if you have to pay lots of money to understand some of the basics. Or what I should say, for free, you could learn enough to have enough knowledge to set somebody out of a cult with a good chance of getting them out of a cult. And if you're motivated because you know somebody, maybe a loved one or a friend who got recruited into a cult, then you should be motivated to get educated about how they ended up in a cult in the first place. And it doesn't have to cost you money. There are scammers out there that will say, oh, I'll show you how to get somebody out of a cult. And they're just another con. They're just another scam, unfortunately. But what I want to talk to, the issue in this video, is that these, manipulative techniques, deceptive techniques that are used by not just cults, con men, scammers, all sorts of people, conspiracy theorists, because the internet is so vast and knowledge is so freely available, these evil people will gather as much knowledge as they can and use it for their evil agendas to con people. There's no getting away from that. There's this story of Cassandra, and there's a prophet that nobody listens to, But there's also a story of Pandora's box. The evil methods have been let out the box. You can't put them back in the box now. The secret's out, And we live in a day and age where there is so much knowledge, and the knowledge is used for good or evil. It's a bit like when they had nuclear power. They could use nuclear power to build nuclear power stations or nuclear bombs. And once the secret's out, everybody wants a bomb and everybody wants a power station. It's just human nature. It's keeping up with the other nation. You could say Matthew 24, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. They're all chasing the money, aren't they, these days? Donald Trump putting tariffs on everybody just to line his own pockets and his mates. And then insider trading on oil price. God. It might seem overwhelming. But the first point to realise is that people will use all these deceptive techniques. If you think politicians are honest and noble, then you're delusional, because they're not. And the news will expose politicians day after day after day of all the evil they do. And they'll try and shut the press up. Oh, it's fake news. It's gotten so bad so quickly. It's shocking. It really is. There's so many conspiracy theorists out there. The aliens are going to eat us all up, or whatever. Or, the very concept of a god is a conspiracy theory anyway when you think about it. You've got this God and you've got this devil and you've got this heaven and you've got this hell, and you have to do what these people tell you to avoid this danger and end up in paradise. It's not dissimilar from conspiracy theorists. Now the ironic thing is the conspiracy theorists could be telling you the truth, and how do you discern truth from lies? We live in a day and age where it's almost impossible to. Because when the governments are telling you the lies and the media is telling you the truth, or the conspiracy theorists are telling you the truth, who do you listen to? You don't know, because they're so good at deceiving you, and corrupt people just learn other techniques from other corrupt people, usually because they want money, or they want sex, or they want power, or they want control, basic human needs, and they'll sell their souls to get whatever they want. I did an explanation in the previous video. I got conned by a tradesman. He said he'd do for a job for £1,000. Then he sort of halfway through, oh, this needs doing and that needs doing, and it didn't. I wasn't that much of an idiot, and that seems to be normal policy in tradesmen. Where did they learn that from? HS2, and things like that. Government projects that they cost 10 billion, then they cost 30 billion, and they just sit around and they're not even working half the time. Well, any of the time, a lot of them. So we live in a world with mass corruption, mass deception, and evil. The result of that is hyperinflation, which is the devaluing of currency. These greedy bastards who are grabbing money don't realise the only thing they're doing is devaluing the value of money. It's like trying to dig yourself out of a hole. The deeper you dig, the bigger the hole gets. You can't dig yourself out of a hole. But these mindless idiots will try and dig themselves out of holes. But it's such a massive problem. It's such a massive problem. And one of the biggest issues is deception avoids accountability. Deception avoids accountability. Well, you said you were going to do this job, and this is when you get the lawyers involved, and then you get large corporate companies being sued because they implied, that you owned your phone. You think you own your computer. No, you don't. The corporates want to own your computer. They want to rent it out to you. They want to make it so useless that there won't be any point buying a computer soon, because they filled it with so much crap AI that doesn't work anyway. Every few months it will be unusable, as you've got trillions of operations per second, and 1,000 operations per second are actually what you want to do. They're just bloating your computer with shit to make it unusable, and then they want the monthly. And another thing, what I've realised, is the monthly scam. That's the big one. They don't want you to own anything. They want you to rent things per month, and then because you're their slave, and you can only rent, you can't afford to buy, they've got you trapped in the rat race. It's all these evil things they do. Years ago, somebody invented a light bulb that would last forever, effectively. And they thought, well, we're not going to sell light bulbs that last forever because they're only going to buy one. So they deliberately engineered light bulbs to fail. And you think, God, what is the depths of depravity that the corporate world, not allowing phones to have batteries that can be changed easily. Phones that are mechanically perfect, but they can't run the software anymore. Because they want to sell you a new phone. The levels of evil the corporate world will go to, and destroying the planet in the process. These large corporate companies that what they don't sell, they burn, and it's like, well, you could give that to poor people. Oh no, we got to burn it. I was watching a documentary on Netflix the other day. It was about the world's biggest, one of the world's richest man. If they don't sell the products, they burn them or bury them. Well, you could give them to poor people. Oh no, we don't get money from doing that. So you're willing to destroy the planet just to make money. They are. That's how psychopathic they are. And the psychopathic mindset, unfortunately, is manifested in all areas of life. All areas of life. I was shortchanged the other day by somebody, and I thought, yeah, it's only a couple of pence, but You do that to everybody, you've made a few quid. You know, it's the fact that people do evil, they consider it normal, and their religion actually teaches them that's okay. Their distorted version of religion. Some people say, well, the solution is we need more religion to make people righteous. That won't fucking work. The opposite has been achieved. You know, I mean, sure, there's some good churches out there, but a lot of the churches that are more popular are the cults. You go to a normal church, it's boring. Nobody really talks to one another. Nobody's particularly friendly. But you go to a devil's church and they're all over you like flies on shit. You know, because they want money out of you and they think they're so brainwashed. So, I mean, I'm in my 50s. I live in a completely different world. Or maybe I'm just more aware than when I was a teenager. But there's so much evil going on. And nobody does anything to stop it. And education is like nuclear. It can be used for good or it can be used for bad. I don't know what's going to happen next. Maybe it will be the biblical Great Tribulation. You know, all the greedy people are devaluing money. The shares are going through the roof, but money's worthless. You know, oh look, the stock market's gone up 50% this year. Yeah, but your purchasing power of your dollar is down 60%. You know, and they deceive you. Oh, we're doing a great job on the stock market. It's the highest it's ever been. Yeah, but the dollar or the pound in your pocket is weaker than it's ever been. You know, because it's the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. I would say it's almost a lost cause. It's almost like when you go to a waterfall, or what they call in physics with the black hole. What do they call it? The edge or something. Event Horizon. Good movie. But I think we've gone over the waterfall. It's too late to turn back. I think we've gone over the event horizon. You can't pull yourself away from the gravity of Armageddon because the governments are just so evil. The governments are so evil. They're not working with each other. Even in the UK, we get hundreds of thousands of people that France just send over because they don't want them. You know, and yet, you know, Starmer gives the French guy a big hug. Yeah, the French guy's costing you billions and destroying the UK. He doesn't give a shit, does he? It's all smiles and hugs, isn't it? No, everybody wants to pass the problem on to somebody else. I'm not sure where I'm going with this video, but what I would say is if you're overwhelmed just by how evil people are, you're not alone. You're not alone. You lost somebody to a cult, or somebody rang you up on the phone and they scammed you. You know, I mean, these days you get a lot of people working in genuine corporate companies who will sell the information to a third party. You know, I've got a friend who keeps getting scam calls because he signed up for some special deal, you know, from some restaurant, and then the restaurant sold his details to a third party. And now he gets scam calls all the time. The restaurant has no morals. If you give them any kind of details, they'll just sell it to anyone, you know. But even if it's the real magic of evil is even a little bit of evil can work all the way through. That's and then when evil people see other evil people getting away with it, oh, I can make money doing this. Even lotteries are corrupt, you know. So yeah, it's almost mission impossible. I think we've gone too far. I think it's too far to pull back from all the wickedness going on. Even though I wouldn't call myself a religious person, I definitely think it could be the end of the world. I really do, in one way or another. And it's just so depressing because it doesn't need to be this way.